Hello everyone, hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here and we are back with another One Leeds episode. I've not done a live in so long, so make sure you're slapping a like on the video. If you are watching this on the replay, hello, you've missed out. What are you doing? Get your life sorted. No, it's impromptu. I just wanted to get a live out, as I say. Didn't schedule it or anything like that, just thought I'd bop on. So yeah. Hope you're all doing well, as I've just said, and we're here to talk a little bit about Leeds United. Make sure you get your comments in the section below, guys. As I've said, I've not done a live for a while, so I'm going to be on for a little bit. Won't be on for a massive amount, but make sure you get in your comments in the section below. So a bit of news that's surfaced over the last couple of days. Anyway, let's just rearrange my camera. Beautiful. Okay, let's get into the news anyway. So we've heard that the Spanish camp out in obviously Leeds are out there now. We've got Elche coming up. Obviously we've got Real Sociedad. We've got another friendly as well coming up, and apparently Bamford's injured again. Apparently there's a groin injury, but it's I think his operation. He's got an operation or something, but he's still suffering with it. And I'm just at the point now where I'm just. I mean, someone's just said in the comment section below, you're going to tear Bamford, aren't you? He tears himself, mate. You know what I mean? That's where the injuries are. It's tear here and tear there and rip here and rip there. You can't tear the individual apart, but it's almost just from a Leeds standpoint. Are they still not going to get a striker in? Because it's actually comical if this happens again. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be frustrated. I'm going to come on here and smile because... what's the point? I mean, there is no point in stressing about it. There's no point in getting angry about it. You might as well just embrace the rest of the season and just see what happens. We might stay up, we might go down, but it would be beyond. I wouldn't even be able to comprehend what's going on if we don't get a striker again. And that'd be quite shocking, astounding. So many words you can attach to that. And I think it's with the news as well that Gelhardt. There's a lot of news, rumours going around that apparently Gelhardt will be loaned out in January. Middlesbrough apparently are looking at him. There's other clubs in the Championship looking at him. Obviously, we know about Cody Drame as well, and Rodrigo. We're almost just relying now on Rodrigo to maintain any form he's got. He's got 9 goals, was it, in 13, 14 games? But we know with Rodrigo, there is a point where that's probably going to come to an end, and we need to have some goals coming from somewhere. Now, I don't know if this is correct, and I should have checked this before I came on, but as I said, it was impromptu, everyone. But I believe his last goal, Patrick Bamford's last goal, was a year ago today, or a year ago yesterday. Now, if that is true, and the board still don't get a striker in, and we still are waffling on about him scoring 17 goals in a Bielsa season, which was an anomaly, a complete anomaly for Patrick Bamford's entire career. That is just, I mean, fair play to lots of fans. I mean, this Bamford's got more lives than a cat. You know what I mean? It's we always play better when he's in the side. We're a much better team when he's in the side. Well, how about we go out and get a striker that mirrors his attributes? Like normal clubs do, that mirror the attributes that when Bamford plays, Leeds are a better side. We have a focal point. We have someone who is able to link up play. We have someone who's able to, someone who's half decent in the air. Why don't we go get a striker that mirrors that? Because there are strikers out there that mirror that. It's not that difficult. But because expectations have been lowered that much when it comes to Leeds actually going out and getting the right profiles for the right positions, fans think... lots of people think that Patrick Bamford is the answer still. On the 6th of December in 2002, when he's barely played, really, for the last 16 to 18 months. Now, I'm not saying the club won't do anything, but if they don't have anyone lined up within the first week, and a good player who's going to come in, mirror those attributes, and be able to help Leeds going forward in the first week... I mean, I'll be baffled by it because the season continues in January. The season just doesn't end. It's not the summer. Leeds don't just have a break and are able to reinvest that money and then get, have a few friendlies and build that players cohesion with the side up, the synergy with other players. We're not able to do that. We're literally mid-season right now, so games continue. Games against Newcastle, Man City obviously are in December, but then they obviously still kick on a gear. I believe we've got Villa, West Ham in January as well. These games don't stop. So we have to bring a profile of player in instantaneously for me. Let me just get a couple of your guys' comments in. Had an operation against this, Danny. Yep, how you, mate? Get Bamford and Firpo out of the club, stealing a living. And I think Andy's referring to the fact that Firpo is injured again. But it's okay because he played well against Blackpool, so I can't wait to see him. Yeah. Another one which it's just, I understand why Leeds want to give him the chance. I understand why Leeds are trying to believe in the Junior Firpo project. I get that. I do. They've spent money on him. They're trying to give him the chance, but there's got to be a point where you just cut your losses and say, that's another mistake. We invested too much money into a player who, evidently wasn't worth it. And yeah, we got our scouting wrong when it comes to him. We cut our losses. We either hopefully you sell him on back to Spain for 10 million. I know that sounds really simple and stuff, but there'll still be clubs in Spain who'll want him after his time at Betis. Didn't work for him at Barcelona, but there'll still be clubs in Spain wanting his services after his performances when he was a lot younger at left wing back for Betis. And, get 10 million back. Get 10 million quid of it back. We spent 13 on him, cut your losses, move on, buy another left back. And you'd have to spend 40 million quid on the left back. You can get a left back for 10 million quid. You can. We all know that. It doesn't have to be in this league. It could be in Serie A where it's a lot cheaper. We've spoken numerous times about the Empoli left back who Leeds are linked to. There's the Championship, believe it or not, because there are good players in the Championship. There's multiple players out there who will... And then you've got to think of what we've been working with in that left back situation since Charlie Taylor left. It's just been average footballers. So, yeah, there are multiple avenues Leeds can go down there. Don't ever think to yourself that a left back shouldn't be on the cards, because it should. Smash a like. Yeah, cheers, Danny. If any of you can do that, you can do. It's free. Really appreciate that. We've also got stuff on the Patreon account, everyone. Put a video up yesterday about Matthias Cunha. If you want to check that out, link will be in the description below. Obviously, with the World Cup being, infiltrating everything at the minute, it's been really difficult for Leeds content, but we are going to be resurfacing back on there when it comes to the Debrief Extra Generation Leeds. So if you want to sign up to some extra content, make sure you head on over to the account. Said on this channel and others that Bamford wouldn't make 20 games this season, need a replacement, not in the standard. Yeah, I said 15, mate. I think I said 15 games he won't make, and there's absolutely and listen, you've got to respect everyone's opinion, but I still think people's opinions of Bamford being the answer is being driven by the club, and is being driven by expectations just being dramatically low, based on the fact that Patrick Bamford seems to be the answer. We don't play anywhere near how we should play, apparently, without Patrick Bamford. I actually don't think that's true in recent weeks as well. I think Rodrigo, to give him his credit, has done okay in the front line, but I think that is always the answer with Patrick Bamford. We can't play our way without having Bamford in the side. We'll go out and get someone who replicates those attributes and is better, and who can actually put the ball in the back of the net. To miss 7 or 8 big chances that he has done, and he's played he started however many games, 4 or 5, missing 7 or 8 big chances. 1 or 2 is absolutely fair enough, but when Leeds find themselves in a perilous position, 2 points off the relegation zone, with 2 of the top 3 in the Premier League to play in our next 2, they've got to go in. I'm sick of these excuses when it comes to Bamford sometimes. It's always the same thing. We play way better with him. We've got to give him more and more chances. He's not fit yet. He's rusty. Well, these are always the same things. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he's a top guy, but we need to go out and bin that project off and actually get a top striker in. And when I say top striker, I know that's unrealistic, but we've got to get a striker that is going to be able to enhance this Jesse Marsch system, and he's going to be able to actually score goals. We're relying at the minute on a 31-year-old who's really not a striker in Rodrigo. Bamford, Firpo and Forshaw gone in Jan would be a dream. Don't even care if we bring someone in at this rate. Get the Crocs off the wage bill. I agree with that, Andy, to an extent, but I think if we don't bring anyone in January, mate, and this is my point of view. I think if we don't bring anyone in January, if we don't bring in anyone in January, there we go, I think we're in trouble. And I don't need to tell you what's going to happen, in my opinion, but I'll just say I think we're in big, big trouble, because once again, it's the same thing, and it with Leeds, it's injuries, it's illness, it's reoccurring problems, it's no invest. They need to go out and bring 3 or 4 players in. They won't do that, so I'll lower my expectations, which we seem to do with Leeds United at the minute. So I'll say 1 or 2. But for me, there needs to be 3 or 4 that comes in. Straya, mate, unlucky, bud. Unlucky with your World Cup exploits. I was gutted when the Aussies went out. We have a lot of Aussie, one Leeds fans. So, yeah. What's your concern, Connor? We're getting... yeah, it's as if we called it, isn't it, mate? It's not just me, by the way. All of you lot who know the club and you know what's going on at the minute. This is what I say when I say it's a forum on this channel, because the majority of you... sort of are in line with what I'm saying, and you literally give me points and all this sort of stuff to go on, and I actually read some of the comments, I'm like, bloody hell, yeah, that's right, and I agree, and you bring different thought processes to me, but with the whole Gakpo thing, we're all on the same page. It was never a thing, was it? We're still hearing Jesse come out and say, oh, we're so close. It's embarrassing. Stop talking about it. We didn't get him over the line. The chairman came out and said, we're getting Bamford on a tweet. Didn't get him. Stop talking about it. Let's be brutally honest, which I try to be on this channel. He's going to go to Manchester United, right? He's going to go to Manchester United. So, like the Dan James scenario when we missed out on him, let's not keep resurfacing this, because we don't want it to become a thing. When I saw the Sky Sports clip the other day, I was like, stop it, Jesse. Stop talking about Gakpo. It's done. Spot on, Connor. We need to shift 4 or 5 in Jan, especially underperformers, injury-prone old guard, and get 2 or 3 quality additions with the money saved on wages, left-back striker and a third centre midfielder. Yeah, 100%, mate. I'm going to get onto the JKA news in a bit. Hi, Paul. Hope you're all right, mate. Hope you enjoyed your time in Blackpool, bud. What's happening with the brilliant striker? I think it's Pedro. I've heard that. I'm not sure, mate. Josh says, how's the LUFC footage of Forshaw scoring a free kick in training? When was the last time Leeds scored a free kick during a game? Yeah, and listen, Josh, I don't want this to be overly negative, mate, because Leeds can really get themselves... I don't think it is negative. I think we're just chatting about what we need to do. But I've always said, and I've discussed this with Brownie multiple times, that I don't understand why they do stuff like that. Coops had a really poor game. I can't remember who it was against. Might have been Arsenal 2 or 3 months ago, and they do this Spotlight Leeds United edition on him. And he's had a poor game. Adam Forshaw has been out for so long. Doesn't play. He's barely a Leeds player anymore. Why are they doing Twitter videos of Adam Forshaw? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Is it to boost his profile? Is it so other clubs can look at him? I know social media is a huge thing nowadays, but it just seems... Is it to get the fans back on side? Why are we doing this? Let's not social media PR Adam Forshaw scoring in training and players who are not going to feature. It just shows the lack of squad depth. It just, it really does, and maybe the lack of quality at points as well. Option to renew Forshaw's existing contract, then selling on... We can't extend his contract, mate. It's just a joke. I really hope not, anyway. I think that'd send me over the edge. But obviously the JKA news, Jean-Kevin Augustin, if no one understands the abbreviation that we're going with JKA. So apparently a deal was settled yesterday between Leeds United and Leipzig, which obviously we were talking initially. Leeds allegedly got the Leipzig striker in. We didn't we? He was training under the Marcelo Bielsa. In the Marcelo Bielsa system, turns out that he wasn't fit enough. Leeds binned him off. Originally signed him for 18. I think it was it wasn't 18 million, but they put like a little bit of cash in, and they said that they were going to send RB Leipzig 18 million when we achieved Premier League status. We did achieve Premier League status that season, and Leeds didn't pay the money because they didn't think he was fit enough. Yeah, he seemed very, very bizarre, and the contractual nuances, I don't know, we don't know, none of the journalists know. It'll be, within the Leeds United and Leipzig sphere, but it did seem a little bit odd, didn't it? And I think we all knew it'd go this way. Listen, I'm not professing to be up on my law. I'm not professing to know anything about this, that, and the other when it comes to financial obligation, but it seemed from many publications, I think it was actually the FT at the time, the Financial Times, who were essentially saying that Leeds had an obligation to pay the money if they got promoted. Bielsa didn't want him, and Leeds were refusing to pay the cash. Well, you're going to have to pay the cash. You've got an obligation. And these are the reports anyway by big publications, Marca, the FT, that apparently Leeds had the obligation. So I don't really understand what they were going on. Clearly, lawyers will know the specifics much more than me, but they were the reports coming out at the time. I think we all knew Leeds would have to settle with Leipzig, even though Leeds were denying it. Leipzig were putting it on Leeds quite a bit. And seemingly Leeds have settled out of court with Leipzig. Now, does that, we got told initially by Angus Kinnear, old Angus says a few things, doesn't he, that this wasn't initially, I think it was about 18 months ago now, ever going to affect Leeds' transfer business. Now, if they've settled, you would maybe expect it to be a reduced fee. So if it is a reduced fee, 18, 20 million, you may be looking at, and this is just pure hypothetical guessing, maybe you're looking at 14, 15, because they're going to have to get nearer to that amount for Leipzig to agree to settle. So it might be 14, 15 million quid. That's still a lot of money for Leeds. You look at Matthias Cunha, and Atletico Madrid have made him available for 14, 15 million. Does Rads have that cash? And now, if we don't have 14, 15 million in our back pocket for a transfer window where we are in dire need of additions, I don't want to use that N word again, somebody else can use it, but it's not good. It's not good at all for the club. So I expect Leeds to go into this window with a little bit of a financial restriction, a financial restraint. Could be wrong, but that's sort of what I'm expecting at the minute. Get your comments in on JK, guys, and the whole situation. JK deal is confidential, but it might be a case of payments in installments over several seasons, so it's less impact for us as well. Better for them as it's guaranteed money and no more court fees. Yeah, I guess that's what it is, Yorkshire Hammer. I don't know whether or not they would accept, for how long it's been, I'm not sure they would accept another 3 years of installments, maybe because of the time period that it's been where Leeds had to pay. They've had to maybe if it is in installments, it might be 6 months or 3 months and 3 months. I can't imagine Leipzig are going to turn around and say, yeah, we will settle for a 3-year period of £3 million payments. I think it's going to be a little bit more than that. So yeah, it might not be the full 15, 16 million. If it is that, it might be 8, 9 million. But you just feel with Leeds in each payment, but you just feel with Leeds how they are and how skint we see them anyway. That is, and the current ownership at the minute, which I think we all understand, I think it's gone to the point where we can't go any further. It feels like that sort of money is quite a lot, where it wouldn't be anything for, maybe not anything for any other big sort of Premier League club. Jesse Stalker down here in Salzburg. What's the chance Leeds might provide him with the manpower he needs by enticing Christoph Freud up north? His track record is crazy good. Yeah, Stephen. Someone mentioned Christoph Freud not long ago. Actually, I'm not sure that would be a thing that he would be interested in. I don't know. Obviously, it would be whether or not he's going to be enticed, like you just said, to Leeds. I don't know if the project's going to get him in there, but yeah, there's been a fair few people who've been speaking about him. To be fair. Paddy the Baddie. Get your name out of my mouth, young man. I might be made of glass, but can you score a hat-trick at Villa Park with no fans? Didn't think so, Buster. Well, you bang on, mate. You bang on. I'll shut myself up. Morning, Connor. Do you think JK has been cleared up now because the 49ers don't want picking things up once the sale is completed? Yeah, potentially, Scott. Potentially. It's probably just as well Leipzig have got very aggressive lawyers who've just thought this has been going on long enough now. And maybe Leeds have just thought to themselves, how long is this going to go on for? Is this going to encroach into the summer? If it is going to encroach into the summer, is it going to affect our business in January and the summer? Should we just get this settled now and pay maybe a little bit of a reduced fee? But that is definitely a consideration. As we've heard, it's apparently getting closer between us and the 49ers. Australia, mate, the real concern for me is how many of our talented squad are we going to sell that we can buy a striker and a left back? Adams, Melier, Nonto and Sinistera. Yeah, mate. I mean, if that is the case, then we might as well just relegate us now. Yeah, if we did that, it's just it's you might as well just relegate as if we're to sell those amount of players. But I see what you mean. I completely see what you mean. I think it is going to be a case of Leeds being a bit tight in this window. Isaac says, hey Connor, if we do end up going for a central defender, I think we should go for Harry Souttar. Australian international has shown his class at the World Cup. The thing is, Isaac, how many of our defenders does he get in front of? Seriously, if Harry Souttar, from what I've seen, obviously I do a bit of championship work as well with my job, or have done previously. Young lad, 6'6", very good on the ball, excellent switch, can use his left foot as well as his right, dominant in the air. Who's better than him for in our centre back capacity? Just because they play in the Premier League doesn't mean they're miles better technically or a miles better defender. Everyone's saying that with Charlie Cresswell now. He's playing in the Championship, but people are still saying he's better than Cooper, he's better than Llorente, he's better than whoever who are playing in the Premier League. Harry Souttar, for me, would be Leeds' probably second best defender. I think he's so impressive. But I once again, it doesn't feel like a Leeds United signing. It doesn't feel like a Leeds United signing. It feels like a Crystal Palace signing. And that is no disrespect on Crystal Palace. I think that's more of a compliment on Crystal Palace. It's an obvious one. He might have Leeds United links as well if he's got Australian background. We know we're huge over there. And if Leeds had to sell Harry Souttar the project, there you go. That would be a top signing. And I completely agree with you, Isaac. I was going to mention it. I mentioned Itakura as well, the Japanese player who I definitely look at, who looks like he's looking to move toward the Premier League, cheap value. I think he's been excellent for Japan. He's one I named. But Harry Souttar is a top player. I really like him. And if you're getting Crystal Palace, Southampton, whoever going in for him, and we don't throw our ring into the hat, and for 30 days we're chasing Matthias Cunha like we always see before, we've seen before, then what do you say, mate? What do you say? Like you can almost just guess what we're going to do. And it's probably going to be reasonably accurate. But yeah, Harry Souttar would be a top addition. I'd love that, really would. And it's where would he come in? And yeah, Machismo says Cresswell played poorly versus Sunderland. He did, and the expectation is that Cresswell goes down and turns into Ben White, completely different players. Ben White had 2 loan spells before he came to Leeds. 2 loan spells. I think it was Newport and Portsmouth. Cresswell's going to need more than that. He's going to need more loans, of course. He's not going to go out to Millwall and just rip it up. Yorkshire Hammer says Souttar is better than Cooper and Juventus. There's some great players in the Championship and Leeds should be looking there instead of being snobby and looking at unrealistic players from Europe. 100%. Rumours about Souttar could be heading to Spurs. Yeah, and that's it. I'd agree with that. But there's also chat about Jack Harrison, something else on the mill as well, about Jack Harrison apparently agreeing a contract or looking to agree a contract with Leeds. This one's interesting, isn't it? Sorry, I'm having a bit of a smoothie. But yeah, I don't really know what the purpose is here because, well, I do understand the purpose. Of course I do. It's Jack Harrison. He's been a great servant to Leeds. But isn't it funny how it works? Someone who's completely out of form, Newcastle have been sniffing round. And he could still go to Newcastle, of course he would, but that would be very odd if he's to sign a contract and then Newcastle come in for him in January. That doesn't normally happen. Might come in for him in the summer, and we might get increased value for him, and maybe that's what they're thinking. But he does seem a little bit odd. It's that meritocracy thing again, isn't it? It's almost like he's playing poorly, and the Leeds United way. I mean, he's been playing poorly all season. I think he was poor towards the back end of last season. I know he scored against Brentford, but I think he was poor towards the back end of last season. And Leeds offer him a contract, and that's Leeds, isn't it? That's Leeds. It's not really. It doesn't feel like it's. I've seen in the chat there that we're potentially looking at extending Rodrigo's contract. I don't know if that's confirmed or whatever. Obviously, that's a rumour. But with Rodrigo, you can almost understand it in a weird way. Like, 9 goals in 13. I personally don't think he's the answer. But 9 goals in 13, you can't really argue with that. And if Leeds are to extend his contract for a year, not 4 years, a year, I can get on board with that a little bit as the second striker or whatever he's going to be. Harrison's a weird one. There's been chat about him leaving. They were doing a day in the life of Jack Harrison on the channel, on the Leeds channel the other day. So it seems like it's going that way once again. It's the PR thing. Could have been anyone in the squad, but it's Jack Harrison, which is a bit odd. So yeah, it would probably, all roads maybe lead to that. And this isn't any disrespect on Jack. I think Jack's been, for the price we paid, I think he's been an excellent servant for the club. But I just do wonder how many more levels he's going to be able to go up, and if he's able to consistently play for Leeds. I mean, there's times now where he's not even going to be making the first 11, and if we give him a new contract, is he going to be one of the most highly paid players at Leeds? You'd expect so. So yeah, a bit of a weird one for me. Bit of a weird one. I'd give Harrison up if we could get 30 million. Somerville has been showing his class, make some more space for Nonso as well. Yeah, 100%. Justin, always in the building, asking for likes. Appreciate that, buddy. 300 in the room now, actually, mate. On a midday, I've got a bail soon, everyone. But yeah, I'd really appreciate a like. It just means it shows on the algorithm for other Leeds fans a little bit more on YouTube. It's how it works, and it's free. So that'd be great if you could just scroll down, just press that like. It'd be great. Tipsy Adonis says, sorry I'm a bit late and you've already moved on, but do you think Bamford's going to complete 90 minutes in the next 2 seasons? If you're just late, Tipsy, you can go back and have a watch, mate, but he's done for me. It's done. It's done with Bamford. And I'm just sick of the excuses. It's not from Bamford. He's trying his best to get fit. It's not his fault. He's still being, selected, but I'm just sick of the whole rhetoric of he's the only player that makes Leeds play better up front. That's the expectations that's been dampened by Leeds not going out and getting a striker who replicates his attributes and can actually put the ball in the back of the net. I'm amazed at the players we identified during scouting, then we don't follow it up. Gvardiol has been an amazing bargain this season. Andy, I completely agree. I was saying this the other day. You are bang on with that, mate. We've scouted really off the top of my dome now. Obviously, Nketiah, when he was coming through at Arsenal, who looked very, very good, but he wasn't on the radar of many big clubs at the time. Nketiah, you look at the ones who we haven't got permanently. Ben White, when no one was in for him, really. Ben White, we obviously, he came in, he was absolutely fabulous. You look at the ones more recently, Matthias Cunha, Rodrigo de Paul, obviously Josep Guardiola as well, Charles de Ketelaere. The scouting network is clearly very, very good. It's clearly very, very good. That's never what I dispute. What I always dispute is where Leeds are right now. Can we attract these players? You look at Rafinha, another one. It's like, can we attract these players? Do we have the profile? Do we have the league position? Do we have the facilities? Do we have the players in the squad to attract players like this? Now, they always turn Leeds down at the end. Gakpo, another one. They turn Leeds down at the end probably because they think to themselves, And the only one that slipped through the net, really, when you look at high-profile players who we've managed to really bring in, who are top level, is Rafinha. That's it. The rest of them are kids. You know what I mean? The rest of them are kids. And that's the realism. You can chase someone for 30 days, but when there are other big clubs in there, Leeds are not going to win that race. We're not established. And this is what I mean. I always think that there has to be an option B and an option C who are more realistic. Not just go hell for leather. As we were told that happened in the summer when we went hell for leather for Charles de Ketelaere and there was nobody else. You cannot convince me there was nobody else that could compete. Joe Gelhardt, Bamford and Rodrigo as a front three. Or Leeds just overinflate their players. They think they're much better than they are, which they clearly do. Or they're just skint and they're using it as a PR thing. Yeah, another one, Ethan. Great shout. Cavacciarella, I believe that's how you pronounce it. We're in for him, do you remember? That's an unbelievable shout. Well done, Ethan. Completely forgot about him. Hiya, Matt. Hope you're all right, mate. Harrison, fourth choice winger now. Strayer, mate. Harrison is good, needs a better squad around him. I'd agree, mate. I think he's a good player. But I also think his decision-making's way off. I think his concentration can be way off. And his final ball is not good for me. It's only good 45-50% of the time. And he's too inconsistent. You can't, as a Premier League winger, when we rely on we did with Bielsa, but we rely on our key players to perform because we have so many deficiencies within this squad in terms of low quality. Jack Harrison is one of the better quality players. And when you go 10, 11 games without contributing to a goal, like he pretty much did last season, and he's done it again this season, you can't have that. And that's why there's always been a Harrison loving, and there's never criticism laid at his door for what he's done, but people ignore the games where he's completely absent because he clusters. You know, that was the difference with Rafinha and Harrison. I had some staggering comments when people would compare his numbers to Rafinha. You know what I mean? Because there was so much more context behind those numbers to what Rafinha was doing in comparison to Jack Harrison. Tom says, was Raf high profile before he came to Leeds? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, you're probably right there, Tom. He wasn't high profile when he came to Leeds, but we saw the Ren fan reaction. We saw that, you know, obviously he was I believe he was close to playing in Europe, or he was in and around that sphere. There were 2 or 3 clubs, I believe, looking at him. So he was higher profile, I'd say. But yeah, obviously when he came to Leeds, he was put on that different level, wasn't he? But I'm not using Rafinha as the blueprint. We need to get out of this mindset that Rafinha is the blueprint, that loads of players are going to be, you know, coming to Leeds who are playing in the top 4 teams in the top 6 leagues in Europe, and Leeds is seen as a step up. I understand players want to come to the Premier League, but the amount of players that we miss out on is, I think, it's quite staggering. And focus on, you know, the amount we focus on these players. Morning, Connor. Hiya, mate. Alex says, Harrison gets played out of position. I agree, he does. Of course he does. He does get played out of position, but that's where we are, isn't it? It's where we are right now. He's been played in his position multiple times, you know. Michael says, Brighton, how are they able to sign great players? McAllister, it's our recruitment team. It must be something. I mean, the networking's clearly good because they identify good players, but there's something that's going wrong, isn't there? There's something that's going wrong in that, you know, in the notion of actually attracting the players to the club. Anyway, guys, I've mentioned it several times. In the title and on here as well. Inter Milan are apparently not interested in Tyler Adams as well. It's going to be fascinating to see if Leeds can keep him in the summer window, because I think there are going to be multiple clubs looking at Tyler Adams, to be honest with you. There's a lot of bigger clubs who are also looking at that central midfield expansion in terms of, you know, regenerating their central midfield. Tyler Adams has been exemplary in this World Cup, easily the best Leeds performer anyway. And yeah, going to be fascinating to see what we do. But this is the thing. We have to go and invest and show Tyler Adams that we are ambitious as a club, something that we didn't do with Rafinha, you know. We have to show that we're ambitious as a club. You go out and you attract big players, and they turn around and they think, oh, okay, this is interesting, and we finish a little bit higher, and there's progress there. You can't just be looking at a couple of seasons here of another couple of seasons if we do stay up, of relegation battle. They've got to invest in the right areas. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Really appreciate you tuning in this morning. Make sure you leave a like before you go. It's free. As I've said, it shows higher on the algorithm. So really appreciate your support, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you in a bit. Cheers.